In this video, I'm just simply going to be providing a status update as to how I'm progressing along with the story events, simply because of the fact that I've had very little time to do any work and progress along this over the last week due to work and real life commitments, but I am slowly making progress. So the first thing that I have changed is that on the description to the Forest Road, I've gone in and I've rewritten some of the descriptive details here to make it a little bit more succinct and consistent. As well, I have changed the remains that that the party can find to actually be an adult human male. And the reason for that is that it allows me to introduce an adventure hook early on, in the sense that, yeah, the hook to get the party to the village in the first place has already been done, but now I've given them a hook that gets them into the village and potentially get a reward as a result of that. The next thing I've added is details about the outer ruins. So I've made the decision that as they approach the village, they will begin to encounter old buildings and structures that can provide them their first quote unquote little bit of loot, if you will. And it's nothing more than a trinket, but I haven't gone through the process of building that out yet. I'm still working on the concept of building out the actual story elements around it. And I've provided a bit of history here for the DM, as well as a series of descriptions that the DM can now present to the party, and the opportunity to find the loot. I've also added a little to-do note to myself to actually go through and create the trinket parcel. So that is something that I will get to in a moment as well. Not the actual creation of the parcel, that's going to happen in another video, but at least what I'm going to be doing with those. So the next thing that I have done is I've come up with the name for the town, and it's called Drum Chapel. It literally means that there is a drum in front of the chapel. I have decided that there is a religious facility in the village. It is a small chapel, and I haven't yet decided the deity, but I have decided that there's going to be a massive drum in front of it that was used as a warning signal of some kind, an alarm. And it can be heard on either side of the valley in relation to the passes. And the purpose back in the day when it was built was to alert armies that would have been on either side of those passes that something is coming, and they can begin to traverse the pass, if you will, and make their way towards the village to potentially block that pass off, or to actually set up defenses in the event that something was already coming over the pass. So that's what that representation means. But at the same time, I've also gone through. Oops, I forgot to set that up as a header, and I've also locked it. So 1 second. Bink, there we go. I've also provided a detailed description of what the party is going to see when they go through the village. Now, the one thing that I love to do as a DM is I love to be very descriptive. It sets the environment and sets the mood. So there's literally a ton of information here that the party can get, but these 4 boxes are really what they will get unless they go through and have a passive perception of 10 or higher. Then they'll get some of this information, and it's up to the DM to determine what. Anyone who has anything higher than that, they'll be able to pretty much see all of this. And I've also gone through and set up some additional to-do notes here down at the bottom. Now with the village and more or less the traversal into the village described and almost ready to go, the only thing missing would be the loot parcels, the quest hook, stuff like that. I've also begun the process of detailing out the local facilities, if you will. So the biggest one is going to be the tavern. This is where the party is going to spend most of their time. And I've created a description here, as well as a bit of an interaction with a stable master that's going to occur when the party actually arrives. But at the same time, I've also set up a behavioral hook for that stable master, in the sense that the stable master is going to treat the party slightly differently depending on the following conditions. And this one's actually going to be broken into 2. I'd made that determination before I had started recording, but I just haven't updated this yet. I'll do that here in a second. The first is that if the party did bring the remains into the village, and those remains are in the wagon, and I have made the determination that there's going to be a wagon provided to the party, and it's going to be drawn by 2 oxen, and that wagon will be able to carry 1,000 pounds of equipment. And that's just for my personal campaign. Another DM might be able to adjust that. And there's a reason for that, and I'll get to that. This is going to be the interaction that the DM will run through on the off chance that the party has discovered the body. They've got the body in the wagon. The stable master is going to detect the smell and begin to deal with that particular smell and whatnot. And as a side effect, when the party completes the campaign and they are collecting their wagon and their oxen again and head out to their next adventure, if you will, there's going to be some rewards associated with that. So they will gain the ability, or sorry, the stable master will have had all of the damage, if any was there, repaired on the wagon. The wheels will all have been replaced and shod with an iron binding around the outer rim. All of the axles will have been greased to make things easier for the oxen, and this is going to result in a 10% increase in carrying capacity. In addition, 2 spare wheels and a new storage compartment will be added to the underside of the cart, so the wheels will be strapped underneath so that if one of the wheels does break, they'll have a replacement for it. In addition, that storage compartment is going to store all of the tools and parts required to facilitate repair of the wagon on a travel or on a trip, and it will total approximately 25 pounds of extra weight minus the weight of the wheels. I'm not counting them as part of the total weight capacity. At the same time, the party will gain the ability to make use of a hidden compartment that the stable master has added to that particular storage compartment, and allowing them to smuggle items that are fairly small in and out of cities with no risk whatsoever. There's no way anybody's going to see this kind of thing. Finally, the oxen are going to have been very well cared for and will be in excellent health when the party picks them up. In addition, they will have new harnesses. They will have been polished and cleaned, kind of thing. They'll be more comfortable, so there'll be extra padding in the harness, and they don't chafe as much as the old ones used to. At the same time, the oxen themselves will have been reshod, meaning that they'll now have new shoes on the bottom of their hooves. For those of you who don't know, yes, oxen do get shoe horns on the bottom of the... sorry, not shoe horns. The equivalent of a horseshoe. I can't think of the name, but essentially they're just called shoes on the bottom side of their hooves. If, however, the party has gone through, didn't collect the remains, but did tell the stable master where to find them, then this interaction will come into play. Oh, and I should state in this one here above that the party will have to pay nothing for the care and upkeep of their animals. The stable master will take care of that for them. But here, the stable master will reduce the total cost by half, so it'll be equivalent of 5 silver pieces per day instead of the usual gold piece. And that will allow a little bit of savings from that point, but the stable master's still fairly friendly with them, and as a result, he'll make sure that he cares for the oxen fairly well, and at the same time replace the harnesses and make them more comfortable and reshod them. But they won't gain any of the benefits that have been applied to the wagon. If the party knows the location of the body, but doesn't tell the stable master that location, then he's literally just going to treat them as if they were a normal customer. However, if he finds out that they knew about the location of the body and told no one, he will double the total cost per day of him being able to look after the oxen. In addition, he's not going to do anything special to care for those oxen. They're going to be in the same condition as the day that they arrived. They will have been cared for just to keep them cared for. That will literally be it. Finally, if the party fails to find the remains because they didn't roll that well, then there's no real reason to penalize them, and they'll just be treated as a normal patron who has come to visit that particular inn and stable. And in addition, I have made myself some additional notes to create a new item to represent the cart, to represent its new features on the off chance that the party did succeed in earning that reward, if you will. And I'm also going to have to make sure that I do the same thing for the harnesses for the oxen. And finally, there's something that I haven't done yet, and that is to assign the stable master to the chat bubble. So these chat bubbles here can be assigned to a particular NPC, but I haven't built that NPC yet. So that's a reminder to myself to actually go through and do that. I have also set up the beginnings to the tap room for the inn as to where the party is going to be staying. I have set up a beginnings to the mayor's office, although it's empty right now because I know that the party's going to be potentially interacting with the mayor's office. And the Tale of the Small Village, I have determined, is actually going to be the first quest line associated with learning about the village's history to be able to give them the clues that there are graveyards that are local, and it may be one of the graveyards that's potentially causing this particular problem, so on and so forth. So I still have that there. Nothing has gone in it just yet. Finally, I have cleaned out most of the information out of the beginning section here because it is now essentially in these story elements here. Some of this can go, but before I clear it out, I want to review it to make sure that I'm not missing any information in the description of Drumchapel. In addition, some of this is historical and ties into the questline portion of where the party is going to have to go through and learn a little bit about the history to be able to make a determination of what's going on. So some of that is still there for reference. Same with the tavern. I'm literally just starting with a description and information on the tavern. Finally, I forgot to clear these out. None of these are going to be coming into play. It will be a vampire spawn. And the reason why I've chosen a vampire spawn is because that leads me with the potential for an additional module after this. Because a vampire spawn is controlled by a vampire. Okay, so where's the vampire? Well, the party's not yet ready to deal with that, but the local chapel might know that a vampire spawn, if that's what the party returns with as information, is generally controlled by a vampire. So that now provides me a means of being able to create additional areas to this module to be able to deal with a vampire, if you will, or to create an entirely different module that takes them from, instead of level 1 through to 5, for example, maybe from 5 to 10. Or 6 to 10 rather, or 6 to 11, something along those lines. It gives me the ability to do that. Oops. Yeah, okay, there will be normal skeletons. In addition, I have determined that there is going to be a werewolf, and the werewolf is the reason for the body that was out that the party has already discovered. He is not the reason for the vampire that's in the area. Finally, I have started to set up myself a little bit of a task list, and this is why having a notes idea here is useful, because now I'm making notes to myself, okay, before this module can be tasked as complete or flagged as complete, I need to do these final little bits here. And you'll note that a lot of this is for stuff that I haven't yet gotten to. Things like setting up the loot parcel, setting up the quest items, dealing with the maps, which I haven't really gone through the process of dealing with just yet. And the reason for that is because I'm planning on doing some of that stuff in additional videos to show you guys how that is done, and everyone how that is done. So that's the purpose of the expansion list, or the task list that I've got there, if you will. And it'll allow me to remind myself, oh, I still have to do this. Oh, I still have to do this. That way, by the time I complete the module, anything that I've thought of as a to-do item can still be dealt with before I actually publish it or put it out there or anything along those particular lines. So with that in mind, I'm going to end out this video. I'm hopefully going to spend a few more days going through and filling in the rest of this information. It all depends on how busy my schedule gets over the next couple of days. Once that's done, I will come back with a new video summarizing everything that got put into place that hasn't already been summarized within this video, and go through the process of showing you how to begin creating quest links and quest items and storing that information inside of the story elements and whatnot. Once we've got the quest items into place, the next thing I'll be doing is NPCs and fleshing out those NPCs, getting an informational sheet around them, and potentially setting up a couple of character sheets that can be used on the off chance that that NPC has to be incorporated into the party. Make it a little bit easier for the DM, although I don't know if I can actually export a character sheet for that, but we'll see. That's something that I have to look into going forward. And finally, I just wanted to show that everything is showing up under the appropriate module. So all of the story elements that I've gone through and created here are in the categorized section called a sample adventure. And that allows me to either view them through this method or through this method, but at the same time, it shows an easy way for you to confirm before I export my module and actually distribute that have I got all of those items that I actually need to include with it out of the uncategorized section? So it's a way of actually allowing you to see that. So with that in mind, I will close off this video. I hope you enjoyed the status update, and I will come back hopefully with a video where I'm starting to deal with the quests themselves, and then we'll go from there. I wish to thank you for taking the time to watch this particular video. I hope you found it informative and useful to familiarizing yourself with Fantasy Grounds in general, and that you had fun in the process. If you found the video useful and you liked the content of the particular video, go ahead and click that like button to let me know. And if you have any questions specific to the topic covered by this particular video, or just have some comments in general, please feel free to post something in the comments section, and I will do my best to respond to any questions that are asked. Additionally, I do release content quite regularly, and it's generally specific to Fantasy Grounds or 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons at this time. So if you'd like to be notified when new videos come out, go ahead and subscribe and click the notification bell to ensure that notification is sent to you when I release a new video.